Hello there, welcome back. I've been away for a while, I haven't done many videos I was hoping to do. So I'm going to do a film of the year thing, but instead of doing normal lists or anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover today the films that were fun that weren't any more than that. Then next I'm going to do films that almost made my list of the best of the year but never quite, but they were films I really enjoyed. And then I'm going to do some individual videos of one or two films I thought were the best of the year. I don't really care about top 10s or my views better than yours or any of that garbage. I'm just really talking about the films that affected me during the year. Okay, I'm going to start with The Fate of the Furious. Fast and Furious 8. This is a series I like a lot. It's one of those kind of dumb series. There's nothing to it that's depthful. There's not, well, everyone who's seen them knows that. They're just fun. They're like Roger Moore Bond films. You know, you can look down on them, but you're going to watch them more times than you ever really should. I mean, it's those kind of films. I didn't really get into this series till part 3 because my least favourite film in this series is still part 1, believe it or not. And part 2 is so dumb it's fun. It was really enjoyable dumb, but I wasn't really into the series. I just thought it was a fun, really stupid film. 3 was when I really got into the series. I really started enjoying it. I realised I was enjoying the series now, and from then on I've been watching them and enjoying them. They're really silly. Part 8, and as a connoisseur of Fast and Furious movies, Part 8 is not one of the best ones, but it's not one of the worst ones either. It's kind of in the middle. It really is like the Octopussy of the series. It's like that film that isn't anywhere near the best, but it passes enough to be enjoyable and you will watch it more than once. It's one of those films that's got that kind of feel. The best stuff in it, as I noticed, most people have been The Rock and Jason Statham when they're together. That's the best stuff. The draggy stuff is Vin Diesel stuff, which Charlize Theron. I enjoyed it, but it's still not as good as it should have been. The whole film has a kind of draggy feel to it. Like the last set piece, the worst set piece of the whole movie. It goes on and on and on. They're basically trying to outdo the plane sequence from number 6, but it's not as fun. It doesn't have something to centre the action around. I've got a submarine, but it's not as fun as an airplane for these action scenes. And that sequence is saved by the scenes with Jason Statham on the airplane trying to save the baby. There's stuff like that, but basically it's not as good as it should have been. And you know, it's still an enjoyable movie despite all its flaws. There's still enough gags in scenes that you think, okay, I can get along with this. It should have been better, but it's still enjoyable. And it's still better than a lot of the action movies you'll see in the year. It just is not the top class of the series, which is still kind of Justin Lin movies, I think. Although number 7 had some really good sequences in it, even if the main story I thought was a bit underdeveloped. The good thing is that apparently Justin Lin's coming back for part 9 and 10 to finish the series off, and he's the guy who seems to understand how to do these stories best, so hopefully I think they kind of worked out in this movie that they made some mistakes and they're going to try and course correct a little bit, so I'm hopeful that they'll finish the series off well after this. Anyway, you're going to have a Statham Rock spin-off, which I'm looking forward to again, and that's so dumb it's fun kind of type of movie. Right, next is Justice League. Justice League is kind of like the Fast 8 in the sense that it's not the top level of anything, but it's enjoyable. It's like you go in, you pay money, and you have a fun time. I took my nephew who's 8 to see it, and he enjoyed it a lot. And that's really what kind of Justice League should be about, is do the kids enjoy it? I mean, I enjoyed it as well, but it's a mess of a film. I mean, it really is a mess. It's like, you can tell there's two different directors. There's like, I don't know who thought this was seamless. Some people said it was seamless, but I thought it was really obviously not. There was bits taken out that obviously you could feel those bits taken out. Ben Affleck's weight seemed to change a lot, and he seemed to be greyer in a lot more scenes, and it's like, it's sort of like Fantastic Four in that regard, so you can see where the new sequences are. It's more successful because the two sets of scenes aren't as extremely different as in Fantastic Four, but still, you can still feel it. But it's still an enjoyable film. The set pieces are fun, the characters are fun, the character interaction works, but the main plot is garbage. I mean, that's the thing, I'm just repeating what everyone else has said because it's so obvious what the flaws are and what the best parts of the film were. It was good to revamp Superman to actually be Superman. But the problem is, you can see there's a more ambitious film that was taken down because they brought Joss Whedon down, and Joss Whedon is good at little character beats, but he's not an ambitious director. He really isn't. If you look at Avengers, you look at Avengers 2, I really enjoyed those films, but they're not ambitious films. They're really not. Even if he takes an ambitious subject like Ultron, it still becomes like almost a TV show level exploration of the idea because it's never going to be very deep. He's not interested in big ideas, he's interested in weird parts of character. And that's what they brought him into doing this film. And you tell it took down some of the more ambitious things of the film, but because it was a Zack Snyder film to start with, Zack Snyder thinks he's ambitious, but he's not. He's probably even less ambitious than Joss Whedon, but he doesn't know it. Because all his film, this whole series is him trying to do a series of films that are ambitious, are a new take on superheroes, but they're not. They're just regurgitations of old stories, and they miss all the best parts of those old stories, and they're just like these messy. I kind of like some parts of them, but it's like, you know, you're not seeing a film by a really good director. You're seeing a film by someone who's seen other stuff and goes, I want to be thought of like that person. It's not really the same thing. So he's kind of like that pretentious film student. That's what Zack Snyder is to film at the moment. He's this pretentious film student. Lots of flashy stuff, but the actual films themselves just feel like they've been hacked together by different parts. So it's like, you know, it's still a fun film though, but it's one of those ones you end up watching more than you ever should. It's like a Highlander movie, you know. You would think there's lots of flaws in this, and then I'm going to watch it again and again, and why? You know, it's that kind of thing. Because if it's 11 o'clock, I'll watch a Highlander movie if it's on TV, and I feel this is that kind of film. It's like, why am I watching this? I'm watching it again. So that's that film. Next, I'm going to talk about Logan. Logan is the finale of the Hugh Jackman Wolverine stories. This was highly rated by a lot of critics. This is really loved. It was like, this is the deepest, this is one of the great comic films. And I watched it, I was like, I enjoyed it. The first half's way better than the second half. And then, because the trouble is, there's a good moodiness to the first half, but it's nothing you've not seen before. You've seen that as kind of character before. Oh, he's a superhero, but you've still seen them better before by other characters. This just feels like I've seen all these scenes before, but I'm enjoying it. I like the actors. It's good, but it's not anything new, but it's enjoyable. Again, I think the thing is, because it's something with Dark Knight got an advantage of as well, is like, oh, we're taking it seriously, so all the fans think taking it seriously means it's great, rather than taking it seriously means it's a certain take on it. But you can take it seriously, but also absurdly, like what Tim Burton did in his Batmans, and it can still be great, but it's just a different type of great. This just is very serious. I don't think it really landed the themes as much as they thought it was. I was expecting some much darker and much more probing about Wolverine and violence, since the sense of how great it was about Wolverine. And it just felt like it was kind of hitting the points, but not really. It was like enough to get a lot of people thinking it's deep, but it wasn't really deep. It was just, it was an enjoyable mood piece. That's all it really was. And then the second half happened, where it becomes Superman 3. Because he's fighting a clone version of himself, which is a violence and all that supposedly in him. But you're just watching thinking, this is Superman 3. There's nothing behind the eyes of this villain version of himself that he's fighting. There's nothing there, which is meant to be the point, but nothingness in a character doesn't really mean anything unless there is a intellectual point to it. There's a reason for it. This is just like he's fighting the evil power himself, apparently, but it's not that evil. It's just this guy who's under control of the villains. If it was the evil person, this evil version of himself was the man behind it all and was the planner, then it would be something. But instead it's just this sort of Universal Soldier knockoff version of him. And it's like, well, it's not interesting. All you've got to do is kill him. Yeah, Wolverine dies at the end, spoiler, everyone knew he was going to die off. It's just like, it's good, but it's not, there's nothing there beyond craftsmanship. It's just a well-made film, but it's not really anything new. I wasn't watching this going, oh, that's new. I was watching it going, I've seen it before, but it's nice how they do it. I like the actors, that's good. But there's nothing really new there. So I didn't like it as much as a lot of people. Ah well. Next is Trainspotting 2. Again, I liked the film, didn't love it. It seemed to get a lot better reviews from other people, but even that seems to have died. It's not the phenomenon of the first one. I think because the idea is it's all about how age affects these characters. I think people were a bit surprised how old and tired they were. That's what I liked about the film, was they were old, they were tired, they had made a lot of mistakes. The thing I didn't like about it was I thought it was a bit fuzzy in certain characters, and I think it was a bit too neat about certain scenes and also a bit vague about the main character Renton. I didn't think they quite landed the ending for him. Like, you could see what they were going for, like him trying to find he was trying to return home and return back to who he was. But it never quite connected. It was well acted, all the actors were good. I just felt that the script needed one more pass near the end to finesse a couple of things to make it land. It also needed to lose a couple of scenes just to have a bit more finesse to it. All the scenes were fun, I just felt that there were some scenes that dragged on a bit too long, and there was a loss of direction sometimes. None of which caused any real problems for me. I still enjoyed it a lot. I'll happily watch it again. I was never the biggest Trainspotting fan in the first place. And I like this as much as I like the first one. I do enjoy both of them, but I don't really love them. I like the book a lot better than I like either of the films. I mean, the best part of it is Spud in this film. His arc was a lot more interesting than anyone else. And you just felt like it's one of those annoying films that was almost there. And there was a lot of really good stuff in there, but it never quite landed. But it was so close to landing, and it was kind of, and it was good enough so you don't hate it or anything. It's not like a massive come down from the original. It's just never quite landed the way you hoped it would. But that's okay. I mean, that happens. It's just one of those things. Like, some films land better than others. I mean, Danny Boyle's last film, Steve Jobs, I thought really worked a lot better than this one. But he's a kind of director who kind of comes and goes. His films are always interesting, sometimes they land better than others. But it's just like, the script just needed a little bit more finesse, and I just think it needed one more draft to fine tune a couple of things and it would have worked. It was so close but never quite made it. Right, next, and that's the last of this bit, is really Kingsman 2, which again, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first one more. This one got a bad rap, I think, because it wasn't as lean as the first one, and they killed some characters off they probably shouldn't have, because they were some of the more interesting supporting characters that you lost, like Roxy, who I also think her death was so vague that I don't know if there's a wiggle room with that character. But you tell why they did it, but it's also like you cut off a lot of interesting potential. And some of the villains, Julianne Moore was good, but her sidekick, who was a character in the first one, wasn't as good, because you see they were setting up him versus Eggsy, who didn't like each other in the first one and hate each other in this one, but it never quite worked as well as it should have. And the actor wasn't strong enough as a villain to really push it forward to make you really be interested. That became kind of some of the points of problems. Even though the film, all the scenes themselves were fun, and there was lots of, it was one of those films where everything was good, there was too much of everything, and they just needed those 10-15 minutes just to really get it going and get it tight. And never really had that. But there's lots of fun stuff, like the robot dogs, like Julianne Moore's villain has all these dogs and these robot things going on to protect her. She doesn't trust humans. All that stuff was fun. She had this compound middle of the jungle, which is all very 50s. All that stuff was fun. even the American versions of the Kingsman were fun, but it just wasn't refined enough. I think they needed another draft to cut stuff down to be a bit more spare. But I think also that some of the story points they originally had weren't quite as interesting, or they never quite landed as well as they thought they were going to land. I mean, they did the Mission Impossible thing where they kill off everybody in the first 5 minutes, or maybe the first third of the movie basically. It feels very quick, and then it's like the heroes on their own try to work out what's happened, how we betrayed them, what happened, why it happened. But you figure that out pretty quickly why it happened, and then it's like them fighting back, and it's like it wasn't as well done as the first Mission Impossible, and it just was never as interesting as I think they thought it was going to be. Because I think you were watching this film hoping you see more of Eggsy learn things from the Kingsman. They went in a different direction. It would have been fine if they went in a different direction, but really had lots of ideas for it. And this one, it felt like kind of ideas, but there weren't. Nothing was really working as well as the first set of ideas they had for the first film. But on the other hand, it's still a really enjoyable film. I'd have to watch it again, but it's not. It's one of those not as good as, but still enjoyable kind of sequels. It's just that kind of sequel. It's just I'm probably more negative about it than I actually feel, because I really enjoyed a lot of stuff. There's some good Elton John jokes about how they kidnapped them and kept them prisoner. There was lots of nice little bits. Colin Firth came back, and that sequence was quite good, but again it was too long. It could have been pared down a little bit. Everything was kind of well done, so everything was very enjoyable. It was just when you come away from it thinking should have been tighter just for more impact. Because the first one had lots of stuff, but it still felt tight and still felt like it was always moving forward like a train. This one didn't feel that way, and I think everyone, I think a lot of viewers felt that. I think a lot of critics who disliked it felt that too. It was just one of those films that was so close, but you felt like it was something wasn't quite as good. But I'm hoping it's still a hit. I'm hoping to do a third one and correct a lot of that, because it's still a very enjoyable series, and I still would happily watch another one. Okay, next we're going to do the enjoyable messes. These are the films that were good but had some problems. There's basically two I'm going to talk about: is Alien Covenant and Live by Night. They Live by Night or Live by Night? The Ben Affleck one. Alien Covenant. I saw later. I didn't see it in the cinema or anything. I saw it later. It's one of those annoying films. It's enjoyable. There's lots of nice bits. The last 20 minutes is a disaster zone. The middle section is fun. There's lots of nice bits in it. There's lots of nice ideas, but it never comes together at all. It just feels like there's lots of ideas floating around that never cohere. It's like they rush to it's sort of Jurassic Park 2, but they're rushing to this ending that no one wants. It's like they rush through the good stuff to get to the bit that is why was that scene in the film? And basically the last 20 minutes is a replay of Alien, but really fast, like where there's an alien on board and they have to kill it, and there's only a few people left. And the whole film goes to that point where the aliens are finally born. But that's the worst part of the film. I mean, the first section is these colonists going to a new planet. There's a problem with their ship. They have to repair it. They find a signal, very much like Alien, from a planet which was ignored in their plans, and it's a very Earth-like planet. Like, we're going to go there instead. They land there. They find it's full of spores that create aliens. They find Michael Fassbender from the first film playing David, and he's been creating these aliens. I mean, there's lots of good ideas here, but it becomes a body count picture, and it just becomes this thing that isn't as ambitious as it hoped it would be. Because the first film had a problem where it was made to talk about God and all the rest of it, but this idea of God was very tacky. This one, it's talking about how do you move on from disappointment, where basically the characters are moving on from Earth, which is a bit of a mess apparently, and they're moving on to start a new life. David is disappointed by his creators and wants to destroy them. Everybody's trying to move away from Earth and move away from where they came from. And that's not really brought up much, but it's always there, but it's never really explored. And nothing's really explored. I mean, there's two of Michael Fassbender's, there's Walter and there's David, and they interact. Those are the best scenes in the film, because you have one AI that's very kind, there's one AI who's very sinister. But that should have been a bigger part of the film, but it's not really. It's only in the centre of the film, it's only the centre part. And there's lots of tacky stuff there, and there's lots of characters who are well developed enough so you know who they are as they go through the motions, but they're too stupid to live. And the resolution to almost everything is to have a monster killing people. And it's just not that interesting. It's like it's like they did an outlay of something that could have been interesting, but they never quite developed it in a way that would work. I mean, you really wish someone like David Cronenberg could have taken this idea and done something with it outside of Alien, because he could have done something really cool with all this stuff. Really metaphorical about bodies, about moving on, and people in alien environments. Instead it becomes this pretentious film with a body count, and it's like very frustrating because it's like there are great visuals, there's great suggestions of past actions, like David destroyed everyone on this planet they found, and because they were the creators that created humans, so he's killing the creators of his creators, and it's never really done much with it after that. It's like, this is important, this should have been a film in itself, instead it's just a throwaway. And nothing really landed because I'm so focused on getting to the next monster movie bit. The monster movie bits are the least interesting parts of it. And again, it's like, they need to demystify everything. Like in Prometheus, they demystified the engineers that were these creatures, and it turns out that was just a spacesuit, which was just sort of let down. And this one, they demystify how the aliens were born. And it's like, just stop making these movies. These are just like, it feels like there's a bad fan fiction made by someone involved originally, because he didn't create these. Ridley Scott did not create these ideas. It was Dan O'Bannon. But now he's back making the pictures and he's undoing everything Dan O'Bannon set up. And it's like, why are you letting him do this? This is just makes it worse. But the films themselves are so interesting as a mess that I can enjoy watching them for the visuals and for these weird moments, but they never hang together at all. They're just like, they need someone who actually has a vision in charge of them, and they don't have that. They've got this guy who thinks he's got a vision. He's sort of like Zack Snyder in a way where he thinks he's got a vision, but he doesn't really have one, and it's just like, you're getting bits and bobs of things that are misunderstood and haven't quite been developed properly. And there's some really good visuals that keep you going, but the characters aren't very invested. The plot's going but it's just very jerky and you never really get invested. There are a lot of good actors in this who are given nothing to do, and it's like, it's not their fault that the characters are a bit thin because they're not really given anything. So it's just like one of those annoying films that you can see this potential for something really great there. Same with Prometheus. It's undone by dumb characters and a script that never quite know. There's never as smart as it thinks it is. This script, these people think they're making smart stories, and they're not, and it's just annoying to watch. And it's like, you feel that Ridley Scott's killing the Alien series now. It's sort of like the Hobbit trilogy, where it's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, don't you know your own series? Like, what's really important? So, I know why people hate this film, but I also know why people like this film. It's one of those in the middle ones. Again, I saw it later on Blu-ray, but I didn't see the cinema experience, but I saw enough to know that, yeah, it wasn't even remotely scary at all. I mean, the Alien has not been scary since Aliens, and it was, again, it was not, I didn't even expect it to be scary at this point. I mean, after Prometheus, it was like, well, it won't be scary, and it really wasn't. It was more funny than scary, and it was like, because you're like, he's going to go in here, and he's going to get his head taken off. And yep, well, that's nice gore. What's it got to do with anything? There's nothing conceptually scary going on. Anyway, so that's that one. Next is Live by Night, or They Live by Night. I think They Live by Night's the old one, Live by Night's the new one. Oh, since they put this one out, this title, it's just confused me. If you know older films with similar titles, suddenly they get mixed up in your head and it becomes very annoying. So this film Ben Affleck made was hated on release. It was like, he was a golden boy from his first 3 films, and then this one came out and they just all kicked his shit out of him critically. And I kind of liked it, even though it was obviously cut down. It's obviously a 3-hour film cut down to 2 hours. I mean, you can just tell there's a lot of quality scenes here. It's really well made. It's one of those films like, just do a director's cut. I really enjoy a lot of this film. I want to see the proper film. Because all the acting's good, all the characters are good. It doesn't suffer from the Ridley Scott thing from Alien Covenant where they're just thinly sketched. You feel there's lots of depth to all these characters that's getting built in, and then I've taken away certain bits that, I mean, the first third that set up a lot of the story about Ben Affleck's past is done in like 10 minutes, it feels. And you feel this is very important to the whole story. You really needed the time to see him as a young man making a lot of mistakes before you get to the next section so it would have impact. Instead it's cut down and cut down and cut down for plot reasons. But it takes away the story. And that's very annoying because it's about a character who's very flawed, who's trying to live in a world that's very corrupt and trying to find ways to survive. And he's paying for his mistakes throughout this film. It's a character piece, but a lot of character scenes are missing. And it, to me, just stuck with the plot, and the plot's not as interesting as the characters. But you've this great world, really interesting thing where you've got lots of people from different nationalities working fighting crime because that's what pays, because they live in a very racist culture, so this is how they can actually make a living. All that's interesting. Ben Affleck's character deals with them because they're easy to deal with and he can work with them, and that's good, but he has to deal with racists who hate that. Great story situation. And it's always very interesting. You're always watching thinking, this is interesting, I haven't seen this before. I'm liking all the actors, I'm liking all the dialogue, everything's really going, but you're always feeling like, there should be more of this. This just feels like I'm talking about a film that's not finished. It's very straight, it's the film that's not actually been finished, you can tell it's not finished, it's just been cut down and left, and you need that director's cut, you need like, I can imagine the Once Upon a Time in America cutting out from watching this, where you just know there's lots missing and it's just screwing the film over because it's a much better film than you're seeing, because there's just bits missing. I can't really say much more about this because I just think there's so much missing from this film that obviously was there. You're just seeing little clips from them, but you're not seeing the whole scene, and it's like, just show me the whole film. I'm really hoping the director's cut of this one, because the bits that worked were probably my favourite stuff of Affleck's directing, the scenes that actually work and the scenes that are actually, you can see the full scenes, because they're really richly done, they're really well done. It's just like, this is obviously a film I'd have loved if I'd seen the full version, and I'm just seeing the half version, so I kind of love it, but I just want a full version of this one. This is it's strange with the biggest disappointment of the year for me, because I know there's a better version of the film out there somewhere, and I used to want to see that. Right, so now we're going on to the disasters. So we're going to talk about 4 films that were just disasters, but I kind of enjoyed them in various ways. Sometimes not exactly the way the filmmakers intended. Right, we'll start off with King Arthur. King Arthur, I'm a King Arthur nut. I love King Arthur stories. This is a disaster as a King Arthur story. That might be taking place in the early years before Merlin and all that stuff. It's a Guy Ritchie movie, so it's all very cockney and very, you know, bunch of guys hanging out and causing trouble, and the College of the Sun and all the rest of it, and there's lots of prostitutes, and Jude Law plays the villain, and he's bloody awful. But it's one of those things you can't tell if it was the actor or the director. Something went wrong, but no, you can't really tell. Something wrong with most of this film. This film feels like it was, because it was massively delayed, and you can just sense that in the film. It's been delayed. There's there's a lot missing in this film. So there are delays, because it came out a year before then they reshot stuff, and there's lots of bits I like though. That I like Charlie Hunnam as Arthur. He seems to be having fun, because he's like the actor I like, but he also seems to be given parts that he has to be very stoic in, and which takes away his natural charm. And this one's the first time he's actually given him room to do that. He's good, but he's doing it in a bad film. But the film's enjoyably bad. It's one of those enjoyably bad films. It's just like, nothing really works. The plot lines are a mess. You don't really follow them. You can't really burst follow them, really. I mean, the script's bloody awful. The cinematography's murky. They suggest things and never bring it back up. They have no idea of how magic can really come out for a film and make it really work. It just becomes like these monsters at the screen. But I liked Arthur, I liked his powers, even though it was very cliched, and even though it's cut to hell, and it's one of those films that's a bloody mess, and but it's really enjoyable, both as a mess, as a film watching for things that don't work, and there's little bits that do work. The weird thing this is, Guy Ritchie's next film is Aladdin, which seems to be just the same stuff that he did wrong in this film. So we'll see what happens. That one. But yeah, this was a mess. But I feel like I might have watched it a few times before I die. It just seems, it's just such a bizarre mess. I quite enjoyed it, because it just did nothing right. Next is The Mummy. I'm a big horror fan of those old mummy movies and Dracula and Frankenstein, Boris Karloff, Lugosi, the Hammer stuff. So I should really despise this film, and it's a bad film. It's one of those films that was being rewritten, publicly rewritten on set, bringing writers in to try and salvage it. And it's weird because scene by scene there's nice lines in it, so you can tell they hired some good people. They hired Chris McQuarrie and Dylan Cussman to come in and try and salvage it, because Chris McQuarrie did Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise, and he's a very good writer. So you get scenes with the good dialogue, even though the situation seems kind of stupid a lot of the time. So it's a weird thing. It also feels like a remake of Life Force, a Tobe Hooper film, which was more fun than this film. And Life Force is a bit of this female naked vampire who's sucking life out of everybody in London. And this time it's a mummy who's covered in dust and who's sucking life out of London, but who's mainly CGI, so it's... So I mean, it's a bloody mess. It's a really bland film, and yeah, I didn't hate it. I still had fun watching it, even though if you look at like Red Letter Media and stuff like that, and the various sites have taken the piss out of it. All they say is right, but I still kind of enjoyed it for my sins. I don't know why. I mean, I really didn't like I really had problems with the Brendan Fraser ones, because I was a purist and they don't take it seriously. And then this one takes it even less serious, and I quite enjoyed it, even though it was bloody awful. So that's one of those ones that has no explanation. I have no defence. It's terrible. I kind of enjoyed it, but it was a lazy afternoon viewing. I don't think I would have been very critical. You know, I think as long as you had done enough explosions that day, I was probably going to be fine. So I have no defence with that one. It's not recommended at all. It's a mess, but I think the thing I liked was there was a lot of professionals in the midst of a mess trying to make it work, and it never worked. But you could see the effort to try and stop a train derailing, and the train derailed horribly anyway. But they were really trying. You could see they were really trying to stop this mess from happening, and it just wasn't working. But you could see the effort going into it. It just was like, it was broken so much earlier than anyone had a chance to save. So the people who were brought in later, I think, should have been brought in earlier to start it, really. Instead it was just this mess of, try to set up a whole universe of monster movies, and there's so much explanation, things that should have been one scene for half the film, and all that stupid stuff. So there was that. But these two films look sane compared to the other two I'm going to talk about. The first one is Transformers 5, The Last Night, which is, oh my god, that's such a stupid film. I've been a bit with the first four and tried to survive watching the first four. The first four are terrible. But strangely enough, I enjoyed the last one, something of Extinction. I can't remember the title because I'm so disinterested. The Wahlberg one, because it was so dumb, it was like Showgirls with a sci-fi budget. And this one continues that. I mean, it's not as much fun as that fourth one, because it feels much more like it's the Shia LaBeouf ones crammed into the mess of the fourth one. So the main character in the fourth one, you've got all the, oh, we'll do a bit of this plot for a bit, then we'll stop, we'll do a bit of this plot for a bit, then we'll stop, and then we'll eventually have a big action scene at the end. It's just stupid. It's the whole movie is just like lethargic. I mean, it's lethargic as Batman and Robin was, whereas like they don't really give a fuck anymore. They just don't care, and they'll just do a bit here, and they'll kind of do okay. Then they'll do a bit here. It's like, this is an action scene, but what the hell's actually going on? There's a bit scene in a town, right? There's where lots of things are going on. You're sitting and watching, going, what's the point in this scene? And it turns out there's no point in this scene. It's an action scene because of lots of exposition to get through in the next 20 minutes of the film. So they throw in an action scene for no reason. And you can feel it watching, it's like, ah. It does feel Batman and Robin and all that way, because there's all these things going on and thrown at your face, and it's like, why is this happening? I don't know. I mean, all the Transformers have that problem, but this one actually felt like people were just giving up, people were just falling asleep at the wheel. This one, it was like, I don't know what's, we did this short the last film, we'll just do it again, just no one's going to notice. And they just, and you see me falling asleep talking about it, because that's what the film feels like, is that they fell asleep halfway through. They give Mark Wahlberg a romance in this film that's so phoned in. It's like, they obviously didn't care, like, at all. And a lot of it takes place in London, the second half takes place in London, and there's lots of King Arthur stuff, and it's just like watching The Mummy again, because the Mummy was just as nonsensical in London, blowing bits of London up. This is the same thing, but this was even more lethargic, even more dumb, and because it doesn't even have someone try to salvage it. It's just like, what, we'll have a car chase, fine. And then they have a car chase. And Anthony Hopkins shows up and looks asleep. He literally just looks like, I don't know a clue what the hell was going on here, and he doesn't care. And that's the highlight of the film. Watching Anthony Hopkins actually cash the check. You know, you always feel him cashing a check in his head, and just watching him trying not to show contempt for this film he's in, and just, that's the enjoyable part of the film, is watching actors slum horribly. And you can tell Mark Wahlberg knows he's in a disaster zone. You can just tell he knows he made a mistake signing up for these movies now, and he's like just trying to get through them, trying to be professional. And he's the only one who's put any effort into it, even though you can tell that he knows it's a disaster zone. And Michael Bay just looks bored. All the action just looks bored. And there's lots of pretty stuff that sci-fi things that I quite like. It's like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. There's scenes going underwater and fights, and then there's Optimus Prime is meant to be the villain for 10 minutes. There's all these floating rip-offs of Avatar. They're basically things that float in the air, that are part of a planet, but they're just designed to look exactly like the floating bits in Avatar, floating parts of the planet in Avatar. It's just that bit, but with metal rather than vines. It's like, that's pretty. I don't care what's going on. Just there's actual scenes where I forget from A to B to do this, and then it's like, did they do that? Oh yeah, they did it. I can't remember. Did I fall asleep for 2 seconds, or did they just imply it rather than show it? Because it feels like a lot of times they're showing stuff, they're setting it up, but they don't pay it off the way a proper film should pay it off, so you can feel emotion for it. It's just like, yeah, we did that. It's fine. We're on to this next thing now. That's the Michael Bay Transformers series. It feels like he does that a lot, where they do all the setup and then the payoff is like, meh, I don't care. It's like, it's happened. Just shut up. This whole film feels like that, but done even worse. I mean, the whole last section, I have no idea. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is killed, and it feels like people just shrug. It's like, yeah, he was in it for a certain number of weeks, that's it. We've shot him, we've killed him off. The whole film feels like that. It's just so, this is so bored. And yet I kind of loved every... It's like watching The Room, but with a mega budget. It's just like, nothing works, nothing makes any sense. But you're kind of entranced how bad it is, and it's just like, it's so enjoyably terrible. And I will watch it again. Probably more times than I ever should, because it's so lethargic. It's like watching a car crash just slowly come at you. You know, it's one of those movies that, you know, it's like a Battlefield Earth or something where it's just so wrong. It's almost as bad as The Happening. It doesn't quite have that weird charm of The Happening, but it's probably even worse, you know, if you look at it objectively. It doesn't have the weird charm of The Happening. But it should be my bad film of the year. It should easily win this one. But alas, it came out in the same year as Geostorm. Now, Geostorm has the same plot as Highlander 2: The Quickening. Get out of this straight away, and it's got the same level of competence. It's based on a remake of Highlander 2: The Quickening. For Gerard Butler as a scientist. Is there anything more perfect than those words? Is there anything more perfect than that idea? Remake Highlander 2 of Gerard Butler as a scientist. Basically, the planet's going to hell. This thing around it protecting its... instead of protecting the environment, it's making sure the weather doesn't go out of control and kill people. By using science of some sort that doesn't make any sense. You just look at it thinking, that doesn't work. There's a whole section explaining in the first 5 minutes and I was in stitches watching it. They try to make it easier by having a little girl speak the dialogue about what happened. And it still makes it hilarious. I was watching it and I swear the first 20 minutes I was in stitches for the first 20 minutes. The only reason I stopped laughing in this film was because I would have died if I kept on laughing. I had to try and calm down. My side was hurting so bad from just laughing at it. But the whole film was insane. It's just nuts the whole way through it. There's conspiracy plots that make no sense. You have a villain who puts himself in the way of the Geostorm. The Geostorm's this set of weather, crazy weather that's going to come down. And the idea is the villain wants to trash the world and start again. Through using technology, it doesn't make any sense. And he puts himself in harm's way continuously. But that stupidity actually makes it even better. There's the brother of Gerard Butler's trying to uncover the conspiracy down on Earth, and it's hilarious because you have good actors in terrible parts. It's like you're watching them trying to survive, and you're watching the disaster of like in Transformers, right? You felt Mark Wahlberg knew it was a disaster, and you felt Anthony Hopkins didn't care, and the rest of the people were trying, but it wasn't working. This one, everybody knows they're on a disaster, and you're just watching everyone try and survive scenes that don't make any sense, and character scenes that don't make any sense. So you've got Jim Sturgis, Abby Cornish, and Ed Harris, and Andy Garcia, all trying to do parts that make no sense, all trying to have dialogue scenes that no human being was trained for. Ed Harris comes off best because he just has a steely eye thing and just goes for it. Because he's been in The Rock, he's worked with Michael Bay before, so he knows how to get through bad dialogue and keep his dignity intact. But everyone else is just struggling, they're just trying their best to get through it, and it's hilarious to watch the painful... You just feel for these actors because you know they're in trouble, and you know they're trying their best, but nothing's going to work in this one. This is just the worst dialogue ever, and the film was reshot famously as well, and delayed and finally released. And it was a perfect bad film. It's just so beautiful, but it's a bad film, and I don't know much more to say about it because it's so perfectly bad. I mean, it's a film to be experienced. So I urge anybody who ever watches this video to go experience Geostorm, because that is beautifully bad. It's just wonderful, but I don't want to, because it's not long, I don't want to say much more about it. I'm sure I'm going to do a video about it later. But it's wonderfully terrible. It's like you always hope one of these films comes out a year. Last year we had another Gerard Butler film called Gods of Egypt, which was just beautifully bad film. It was great. Gerard Butler makes the best bad films. He's just great at it. There's people who make bad films, right? They're boring, but he's, he knows what he's in a lot of time, and he just picks the best ones, the ones that you want to watch again. He's just like, seems to have a sixth sense for knowing. Okay, I don't have many offers, but this is the most interesting one. This is probably going to go off the rails, but it's going to be fun to watch. You kind of feeling it's like, okay, if you don't have many options of what to choose, you may as well choose the one that's going to be enjoyable for the audience, even though the wrong ways. So, he should keep it up. He's one of my favourite actors of bad films. He should just keep going, just keep on giving them money to make more films like this. Can he get the hat trick next year? Can he get the hat trick of 3 in a row of the best bad films of the year? I think he can do it.